It's nice to have you on the show once again. Welcome to Live Well Lit. I'm your host, Omobola Stephen. This podcast focuses on self-development and personal improvement with the occasion of expert and professionals who come to the show to share their insights and topics or subjects on the personal development and self-improvement. Now, if you want to catch up with any of my missed episodes, just go online and search for Live Well Lit by Omobola Stephen on any podcast distribution platforms you bump into, and do have an amazing and worthwhile time. Today on the show, I have Josh Elledge, who is the founder of UpMyInfluence.com, which is a purpose-driven platform bent on totally democratizing access to influencers, thought leaders, and authority experts. Welcome to the show with me, Josh Elledge.
Yeah, Omobola, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Josh, for coming to the show. Now, I'm looking forward to your professional insight on today's topic for discussion. Josh, the question is, how can a person gain and gain authority? Is it that simple?
So how can they build their authority?
That's right.
Yeah. So authority comes from a number of different ways. And we think about, well, what is authority? And authority largely is that, there may be someone or something that we already respect. So let's say, for example, it's a university and the university gives you a diploma. So that we take that to mean something, right? Okay, so you must be educated in your field. We also look at other things like, boy, you have a lot of social media followers, and we would call that social proof. And that social proof would look like authority. You could, for example, I've spoken for the Tony Robbins organization. If you know who Tony Robbins is, you might respect, the success that he's had. And then you're like, oh, well, they invited me to speak to their business mastery class. And you're like, well, I mean, if they checked out Josh and they invited Josh to be a speaker, there must be something here, right? It could be authority through successes. I've had 2 7-figure companies, one of which, we did, well over $6 million in revenue with 0 paid ads. And so through my results, I've gained some authority, getting in the press 2,500 times. Okay, he probably knows some things about getting that. Okay, so why is this important? Well, it's required if you want to do very good sales today, if you have high perceived authority. Okay. And I say perceived authority because I think a lot of us, and I'm talking to the entrepreneurs out there, become our own best secret. In other words, we're very good at what we do, but we're doing a poor job in communicating that authority. So what's happening is you have a digital barrier that's getting in the way, because right now, the only way that we can get to know one another, for the most part, is digitally, or at least, in my world, I'll say that, most of our, clients that we work with are consultants, coaches, B2B service providers, and agencies. And right now, let's give you a couple of examples. Let's say that, someone were to do, and I'm speaking to the listener right now, say someone were to do a Google search for you. What would they find? So I can tell you that if you do a Google search for my name, it's Josh Elledge. It's right on the screen if you're watching the video, or you could you could try and spell that last name. Good luck. And whatever comes up, if you spelled it right, I can tell you what you're going to see, because I work very hard in order to get those placements. So those are your vanity search results. A Google search is really important because today's consumer does not want to waste their time. Today's consumer has been advertised to and sold to for decades, right? They're exposed to over 10,000 ad messages a day, according to the American Marketing Association. And so when you have an audience that's just constantly advertised to like that, we start to get very skeptical. And that skepticism leads to us wanting to do our due diligence before we waste any time with someone who's not qualified or doesn't have the authority to help us. So when we start looking at doing things, simple things like looking at the signature in your email, looking at your website, looking at a Google search results, looking at your LinkedIn profile. These are things that your potential customers are doing. And if they don't like what they see, they're not going to respond. They're just going to ghost you. And so if you want to know why you keep getting ghosted as a business owner, it could be that you're just kind of giving off vibes that, and again, I don't want anyone to feel bad because you're just earlier stage in business. And so I want you to know, here's the good news. All of that is fixable. It won't happen overnight, but my recommendation is that you dedicate an hour or two every single week to building your authority, because authority is kind of like the underlying cardiovascular health or muscle mass that you have in your body. If you have that inner core strength, life is just easier. Like your advertising doesn't have to be as good. Your offer doesn't need to be as great if you have great perceived authority. Now, all that said, I've spent so much time talking about how valuable authority is. It's only about 1/3 of the equation in terms of like, especially to my friends out there who are coaches, consultants, B2B service providers and agencies. If you sell big ticket, authority is very important, but it's not enough. There's a few more things that you need.
Great. Now we're talking about authority. Is there any correlation between authority and influence?
Yeah. So influence, I think specifically, is going to do a lot more with how many people are paying attention to what you have to say. So in the case of, and then I think you can use your authority to grow your influence a lot faster. So influence is kind of like, authority is like, if I give you a huge sack of cash, influence is what you do with it, right? And so if I give you that sack of cash and then you go bury it in the backyard, well, how much is it worth? It's worth nothing unless you dig it up and you use it. So that would be influence. And influence, I think largely we look at that as being, can you move a number of people to action? Some people have little influence, but everybody has some influence. And here's the thing, you can very quickly grow your influence by starting to be more and more available on platforms that are not your own. So if you want to bring people into your sphere of influence, just keep trying to serve on others' platforms and where your audience is already pre-congregated. Make it ridiculously easy for people to get to know you. And the best you can hope for today is that they'll come join you in your world, and then they spend a little bit more time with you, and then eventually they want to know how they could take the relationship to the next level by buying your products and services.
Great. Now, Josh, how can they influence without authority?
How can they do what without authority?
How can a person influence without authority?
Influence without authority. Well, so I would look at that as a lot of your, I'd say traditional, maybe TikTokers and Instagrammers. And listen, that's a great, if that's your business model and that's what you want to do, I know a lot of people that make a lot of money with zero authority. In other words, their job is, now I will argue that they are an authority now at building a successful influencer business, and they know what sells, and that's valuable. And I share that that's valuable, and they've gained authority because there are, meanwhile, let's say you get to a point where you're now making, $5,000, $8,000 a month as an influencer. There are people that would love to learn what you did, and they would even be willing to pay you for you to teach them on how to do what you do. So thereby you have authority in that thing. So when we get good at something, we increase our authority. When we show that we've got social proof at doing something, we've got authority in that. So yeah, authority is one of those things that, you know, if you're out there doing stuff, you'll kind of pick it up. My recommendation is just like, you know, can you pick one thing, obsess on it, and then just become known as the person on the planet who knows that better than 99.99999% of the population. And I think that that's we want to get really good at one specific thing. You want to niche into something that you can call your own. And I think that there's a lot of value in that.
Right. Now we're in the age of collaboration, business collaboration, right? That's on the lips of too many people nowadays. So why is collaboration a big deal? And what are some of the things to look for in a business collaboration?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I think I said, here's the thing before. Okay, now here's really the thing. Here's what I know about very big, successful influencers, business owners. They strongly believe in collaboration at all costs. Not everybody, but I've seen this pattern quite a bit, and I've seen it much more at the higher levels than I have the earlier stage levels. What's really interesting is that if you want to, there's the African proverb, right, that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go, if you want to go steady and long, go with the group, right? And so it's kind of that same thing. By the way, I know that I didn't say that the proverb correctly. I'm paraphrasing the proverb. But here, when you try to do everything yourself, and there are people with personality types that are just like, I just want to learn from all the free stuff. And that's great. That's a great way to build your foundation. But then at some point, you have to decide if you're going to DIY everything. If you are, it is going to take you much longer than if you just partner with as many people as you can. Because let's say that you want to offer a service line. Now you could either offer that service line. Let's say, you want to, work on some, aspect of SEO or copywriting or something like that, but you're just okay at it. Right. And so you have to develop those skills, and right out of the gate, you're not very good at that. And so now, can you make maybe a 25, 30% profit margin? Sure. Okay. If you were to partner with someone, let's say you only make a 15 to 20% profit margin. However, you don't have to do anything. Does that make sense? So in other words, you could partner with someone, you could resell their services, make slightly less profit, but you don't have to do any work for that. Well, I like that. Or what I'm a big fan of, I have right now, I kid you not, and I see this is a big thing I see between small business owners and big business owners. A lot of it really just comes down to budgets. Small business owners just don't have budgets like bigger business owners. But right now, I'm just looking at so I've got 2 agencies working for me that do nothing but SEO. I've got 1 social media strategist. I've got an operations strategist. I've got a marketing automation strategist. I've got a quiz funnel strategist. I've got a community manager or a community executive community strategist working for me. And then I've got a team. Those are just the consultants that I hire on a regular basis. Then I've got a team of over 30 people. So I am investing in growth. So yeah, and it's really interesting. So I'll encounter people who, when they see what I do, sometimes people just want to pick my brain and just, get as much information for free as that they can. And they're going to be like, well, I'm going to do it myself. Cool. You can do it yourself. It's just going to take you 10 times as long as opposed to if we were to partner. And I'm not exaggerating. Like I have made thousands of mistakes. So, and chances are you are going to make hundreds of mistakes unless I teach you otherwise. So that's the advantage of working with a pro, is they've already done the
now,
thing.
Now, you're talking about growth, and that's very important.
Yeah. Yep. But that's it.
Go ahead. Go ahead. All right. Now, you mentioned growth. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, so that's what I see is really the big difference between collaborating and not collaborating. Again, YouTube is a fantastic university, but at some point, it's only going to get you so far. You really want to be out there in the trenches with someone who lives and obsesses on their thing day in, day out, because they just know way more than you do.
Great. Now, I wanted to know how business organization, how can they drive innovation and growth using the blue ocean strategy? Any professional insight?
Yeah, well, listen. Okay, so the concept of blue ocean versus red ocean. When you're in the blue ocean, you're going to have to innovate a little bit generally in order to get there and be there, right? Because blue ocean, what I'm talking about, and there's a really good book about blue ocean strategy. But the idea is if you do what lots of other people do, well, what's going to happen is you're going to get commoditized. And what I mean by that is it's a race to the bottom. You don't generally, if your goal is to grow and scale a business. Now, if you just want a lifestyle business and it's good enough money for you to just be an SEO laborer, that's fine. That's great. It's a good gig. Right. However, if you really want to be able to charge a lot more for your money, like I have clients that pay me literally $1,000 per hour. Now, what I do is very specialized. Nobody that I know of does what I do on the planet. And so because of that, I can charge a premium for my services because nobody knows what I know, or nobody obsesses and does it to the level that I do it, right? So first off, you can charge a lot more money. Secondly, in the blue ocean, you have no competition. So strive to lean into your specialty. What makes you unique in the world? And I'll tell you that it might be a little bit more difficult to get clients because you're going to have to do more education as to what truly makes you different. But the audience that's looking for you, they are thrilled when they find you. So, it could be 10% of the population needs your services, 90% doesn't. And because you have niched yourself. However, those 10%, like I said, are going to pay you a lot more. So yeah, that's the advantage of being in the blue ocean where nobody else. And by the way, red ocean implies that there's a bunch of, predator fish that are all eating the same food and the water's all bloody. In the blue ocean, there's no competition. You're just swimming around, taking what you want. I'm very much a fan of getting into the blue ocean and staying there.
Sure, good to know. Thank you once again, Josh Elledge, for your professional insight on today's topic. Do you have any project in the pipeline?
I'm sorry, my microphone is muted. So, okay. So yeah. So in terms of, if you sell big ticket, in other words, you provide services and you'd like to charge, maybe a couple $1,000s a month for those services, I can help you get a lot of business. And so for 2.5 years, that's all I do is I sell big ticket services to big ticket clients. I started teaching people how I do what I do, and I put that in a free masterclass. You don't have to hire me. You don't have to pay me. You don't have to join anything. But I would love if you would learn everything I've put together. I've got a free 4-video series that you can watch. I've got a free quiz you can take to help you get clarity in and around why your sales are not working. I can tell you exactly why your sales aren't working. Just take the quiz and it'll tell you. And then a free download that will really help you in particular with your authority. So you can find all of that. It's absolutely free. You just go to www.upmybusiness, influence.com. And I would love to have you as a student. I would love to mentor you.
Great. Do you have any parting word you'd like to share with my audience?
Well, yeah, and that really is that you listening to this podcast episode, you watching and following Omobola, this is really good because, kind of like what Jim Rohn would say, you're the combined average of the 5 people you hang around with most, and success leaves clues. And so the more that you can surround yourself with positivity, the more you can surround yourself with personal development, it absolutely will rub off on you. It will leave an impact, and you will start to think like people who are very successful in life the more you listen from them. And the more you apply the ideas that you learn, success will be inevitable for you. And so I just want to, to our listener, to our viewer right now, I just want to let you know you're in the right place. Keep listening to Omobola. If you want to come find my podcast, I do a daily podcast. I've got about 1,200 episodes recorded, and I publish every single day. They're all about 20 minutes long, no commercials. And you can find that by just searching for the podcast, The Thoughtful Entrepreneur. And I would be honored if you'd give it a listen.
Oh, great. Thank you for the pay line and for the motivation, Josh. Really appreciate your thoughts once again. Any social media handles you'd like to connect with?
You can find all of those at upmyinfluence.com. Just scroll down to the lower left-hand corner. We have over 130,000 followers on social. So I'd love to connect with you there as well.
All right. Beautiful. Thank you once again, Josh Elledge, for your time on the show. Thank you, audience, for joining me on the show. Really been a worthwhile time having Josh Elledge share his professional expertise on today's show. Right, you like to catch up with any of my missed episodes, just go online and search for Omobola Stephen, and you have an amazing time listening to talk show. Till I come your way, I need you to stay safe. With all my love. Talk to you soon.